What it do, Dream Team? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video, and in this one we have how Sweden ended the immigration crisis. I don't know what's going on in the world where it seems I've seen multiple countries have this immigration crisis. Like, what countries are immigrants coming from, and what problems are they causing in all these countries for everybody to be having a crisis on their hands? It's just wild. But we're going to go ahead and react to this and see how Sweden ended it. Before we do, if you haven't enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe, get a video a thumbs up, and let's dive right in.
Sweden's story is really important right now, especially with the rise of the right-wing Sweden Democrats. This party is capitalizing on concerns over integration, crime, and economic pressures. In the latest election, support for the Sweden Democrats surged to 20.6%. Making it the second largest party in parliament and pushing the government towards restrictive policies like border checks and deportation centres.
Oh, wow.
This is a movement we are seeing all over Europe. The rise of the right-wing Sweden Democrats has dramatically changed the country's political landscape, driven by growing concerns over integration, crime rates, and economic pressures. Founded in 1988, as a fringe party uniting various far-right elements, the Sweden Democrats have changed a lot under the leadership of Jimmy Åkesson since 2005. They moved away from their extremist roots and took on a more populist stance, especially on immigration. This change has attracted more and more Swedish voters. The rise in support for the Sweden Democrats is linked to the growing worries about the influx of immigrants and the problems of integrating them. Many Swedes feel that the large number of immigrants has harmed their country. They say Sweden isn't safe anymore, pointing to rising crime rates, gang violence, and even bombings. They believe the welfare state is struggling because it can't keep up with the demand. Schools have too many students, hospitals are overcrowded, and there's not enough housing. They think the country is dividing, with different cultures clashing and the economy under pressure. Sweden's reputation has fallen from a model welfare state to a cautionary tale. Foreign-born citizens now make up 20% of the population, and officials are struggling with rising crime, economic threats, and a failing education system. So how did Sweden, once known for its open and welcoming immigration policies, become a country with some of the strictest immigration measures in Europe?
It's happening in so many countries. The crime rate, it seems to be that in multiple countries that have open immigration policies is they're seeing the crime rate going up, and a lot of the people, citizens of that country, are getting fed up and saying this is what the problem is. Like, why are we not doing anything about it? And it sounds like Sweden has started to take action, but see, what's going on with immigration? I'm all for people migrating to other countries in search of more opportunity, in search of a better life, or leaving their country in fear of what could happen to them. But I think when you go to another country, you have to acclimate to how that country does things. You have to adjust. And you have to, I don't want to say fit in, because you should still get to be yourself and be who you are. But in a way, you have to figure out a way to fit into that country. So, I don't know. It's very tough. It's very tough.
After avoiding World War II, Sweden became a high-performing, export-oriented economy built on a stable parliamentary democracy and social consensus. The country once boasted top-notch healthcare and education, enjoyed social and gender equality, had low crime rates, and minimal ethnic conflict. Present-day Sweden, however, is known for having the highest rate of gang-related killings in Europe.
Jesus.
Shockingly, the average age of serious offenders is very low, with kids in their early teens being arrested for murder. Many suburbs are now labelled as especially vulnerable areas, meaning it's almost impossible for the police to work there. These areas, often called no-go zones, are controlled by local gangs.
That's insane.
First responders need flak jackets and police escorts to enter these dangerous neighborhoods. Sweden faced a huge challenge, a flood of immigrants and not enough integration. This once peaceful haven now ranks second in the world for bombings among countries not at war.
Oh my God.
So what did Sweden do? They got serious. Really serious. The pressing question now is, will their tough stance save Sweden, and can it serve as a guide for the rest of Europe? This Scandinavian country with only 10.6 million people is in the middle of a national crisis because it struggled to integrate a massive wave of immigrants.
Jeez.
For many, the dream of a safe, prosperous Sweden is gone, replaced by chaos and uncertainty. As Johan Martinsson, a political scientist from the University of Gothenburg, explains, the party's success is tied to Sweden's large number of asylum seekers and rapidly changing demographics in terms of ethnicity and the share of foreign-born citizens. This worry has resonated strongly with many workers concerned about job security and competition from low-wage labour, boosting the Sweden Democrats to unprecedented heights in the political arena. In the latest elections, the Sweden Democrats achieved a staggering 20.5% of the vote, solidifying their position as the second strongest party in the country.
So it sounds like the Sweden Democrats are the ones taking a stance against immigration, are the ones, or putting more pressure on immigration. And so the people, the citizens of the country are voting more towards that way because they fear. I mean, first of all, you got the crime rates and you see them raising. Second, you got the fear of losing jobs to low wage labor. And then I'm assuming the country just can't support this many people. And then immigrants coming over, it'd be harder for them to be able to get a job and everything. So they'd have to go through a welfare system. In Sweden, the country as a whole can't maintain that because in the welfare system, trying to take care of a lot of these immigrants or asylum seekers, that's taxing more and more of the citizens there, and it makes life harder and harder on them, and so they're getting fed up, and it's just not good.
This marked their best ever electoral performance, surpassing even more mainstream right-wing parties. The party's anti-immigration stance, once considered radical, has now become increasingly mainstream, influencing the policies of the right-wing bloc and contributing to their narrow victory over the centre-left coalition. The Sweden Democrats have not shied away from controversial tactics to promote their message. Public displays against immigration, such as putting up English language posters in Stockholm and distributing leaflets on the Mediterranean island of Lesbos to discourage refugees from coming to Sweden, have been part of their political strategy. These actions have further polarised the debate surrounding immigration and have forced other parties to confront the issue head-on. The rise of the Sweden Democrats is not an isolated phenomenon, but part of a broader trend of rising populism and nationalism across Europe. Far-right parties in many countries are getting more votes, showing people are losing trust in traditional politics and want stricter rules on immigration.
Yes.
Even Sweden, known for being open and tolerant, is feeling these changes. The Sweden Democrats have captured this mood well. As Sweden's politics keep changing, the big question is, how can the country keep its caring values while dealing with the real problems that come with immigration? This issue is at the heart of Sweden's national discussion and will decide its future direction. The Sweden Democrats' impact on policy is already noticeable. Plans are underway for special reception centres for asylum seekers, more detention facilities, and return centres for those whose asylum applications are denied, starting in 2024. In 2024, Sweden introduced strict changes to its migration policy.
Really?
It set up reception centres for asylum seekers to centralise their processing and housing, aiming to control where they live and restrict their movement. These centres are part of a broader strategy to manage migration more effectively. asylum seekers will no longer be allowed to settle wherever they choose. These changes have sparked significant controversy. Critics argue that Sweden's new policies are harsh and lack humanity. Public opinion is deeply divided, with some supporting the government's strong stance, while others fear it undermines Sweden's humanitarian values. One of the most contentious aspects of Sweden's new policy is the establishment of return centres. These are for asylum seekers whose applications have been rejected, helping them return to their home countries. The government has allocated substantial funds to these centres, showing a firm stance on immigration. Once known for its welcoming approach to asylum seekers, Sweden has now taken a sharp turn in its immigration policies.
So yeah, and Sweden's not the only country. It sounds like they said, a lot more countries are becoming more far right, and where they're getting tired of the immigration policies that are happening in their country, and it seems like more and more are just one very strict policies like Sweden has implemented. Now, whatever stance you take on that, I'm not sure whether you think that's too harsh or whether you agree with the government on the strong policies. I hate that it had to come to this in the first place. I wish that people could travel freely and settle where they would like to freely. But I also understand the other side of the argument that with rising crime and all of this, and if it's happening by a certain group of people, and then if it's becoming too much of a burden on the country, financially, economically, however, and it's like you just can't support it, and so it's a very difficult situation.
Alongside setting up reception centres, Sweden has introduced stricter asylum laws to reduce the flow of migrants. These measures include thorough checks to prevent abuse of the asylum system and crackdowns on illegal immigration. Despite the challenges, Sweden's new migration policies are proving effective. The number of asylum seekers has decreased significantly, and the government anticipates this trend will continue. By centralising the asylum process and prioritising efficient returns, Sweden aims to establish a sustainable and equitable migration system. The story of Sweden's immigration policies is evolving. Once a welcoming nation that opened its arms to asylum seekers, Sweden has now made a dramatic course correction. The country's recent decision to implement strict identity checks on all incoming traffic from Denmark in January marks a significant shift. In 2016, Sweden made a significant shift from its historically generous refugee policies.
Wow.
This change aimed to reduce the influx of migrants and refugees, following an unprecedented surge in asylum applications in 2015.
Jeez.
During that year, Sweden received a staggering 160,000 asylum seekers, nearly double the previous record of 84,000 set in 1992. The sheer volume of arrivals stretched Sweden's resources to the breaking point, with local councils across the country struggling to accommodate the growing numbers. Gymnasiums, churches, and even tent camps were pressed into service as makeshift shelters, highlighting the immense cost associated with the crisis. In response to this unsustainable situation and a growingly sceptical public, the Swedish government announced several policy changes in autumn 2015. These included faster processing times for asylum requests, stricter policies towards rejected applicants, and the creation of dedicated reception centres for asylum seekers. The government also committed significant funds, approximately 13.8 billion SEK, around $1.50 billion, to various aspects of migration policy in its 2024 budget. This funding aims particularly at expanding detention capacity and facilitating the return of unsuccessful asylum seekers to their home countries. This new policy has had a big impact on Sweden and Europe. Sweden changed its asylum laws to match EU rules and cut back on generous benefits. This shows Sweden wants to be more like its neighbours. Other EU countries...
Y'all talk to me in the comment section what you guys think. It seems to be happening in the UK. It seems Germany. It seems Sweden. I'm not sure how I see here with Pocky Sharma. I absolutely love watching her videos. Europe, no more room for migrants. It seems to be happening all over Europe. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. That's all we have for this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. And check out that next video. It's your boy Neal. Out.